Yeah. So, all right, Nick, what is your best movies of 2023? Going, you gonna go
Okay.
honorable mentions first, or you gonna go up
Yeah.
to your?
So a couple of my honorable mentions. These are movies that I absolutely loved, but there was just something in them that kind of missed the cut with them. So my first honorable mention is going to be Blackberry. We got a lot of the like tech rise stories this year, but we never really talk about the spectacular failures in the world of business. And one of them was Blackberry, directed by Matt Johnson, starring Jay Baruchel and himself, and well as and I think Oscar-worthy turn from Glenn Howerton, who plays Jim Balsley, and they're the guys who founded the company of BlackBerry, who we followed their initial success with it, all the innovation, the corporate struggles, and the eventual downturn. It's like they see a premiere of the iPhone and everything just falls apart, as well as all the comeuppance of all the shady business practices that they did to make the company what it was. And something that stands out is the movie is very funny, and you have some all-time great performances from both Jay Baruchel as this initially very naive tech bro who just wants to make this technology happen, and then slowly as the film goes on, he loses more of himself and starts becoming more like Glenn Howerton. And also, this movie has one of the all-time great freak out scenes of this year, where with Glenn Howerton just screaming at the people who own the NHL.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's hard to see this movie and not think Dennis Reynolds. I mean,
And I think that is very intentional with its casting, because you never really know how to feel whenever Glenn Howerton's on screen. You don't know whether to be like laughing at him, you don't know whether to be scared of him. And it makes the moments where he does actually let up and actually shows that he is a human, it makes those stand out even more.
yeah.
It's like even the very final scene where he gives up, where Jay Baruchel gives up Glenn Howerton to the feds. It's like, so all right.
Yeah. He just kinda accepts it, you know what I mean? He knows, I mean, he's a good talker. I mean, he's a good businessman, and you see that, that's what I mean, he's kind of a sociopath, so that's what he makes for a good businessman type guy. But yeah, I love this movie. This was also on my best of list as well of 2023. It didn't go in my honorable mentions and went actually into my top 15 movies there.
Okay.
But yeah, I really liked it a lot. Yeah,
All
what
right.
else you got?
All right. Next honorable mention is David Fincher's new film, The Killer, starring Michael Fassbender. What stood out to me about this is you take all of the like distinct visual style of David Fincher and all of his kind of like meticulous nature of how he makes his films, and you apply it to essentially an action movie. But this movie is so much more. I feel like this is a character study of somebody who is willing to take on this life, and is almost a parody of it in some ways. Because while this movie is very dark, the action in this is very intense. It has one of my favorite fight scenes of the year, where you have Michael Fassbender fighting this just massive dude, and seeing all the preparation that he has entails with pulling out one of these hits. It's a great time. The reason that it didn't crack my top 10 is because I feel like the movie is a little bit slow paced. That style of this character, that it is very jarring. It is very hard to get into, but I had a great time with the movie.
Yeah, I like The Killer. I was very highly anticipating this movie. David
Mm.
Fincher, as you see, director of Seven, Fight Club, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo,
Gone Girl,
Gone Girl. Yeah,
The Social Network, which is one of my all-time favorite movies.
yeah, Social Network. I think it's probably one of the greatest biopics ever. Yeah, I mean, you see, him coming and doing this, and yeah, I liked it quite a bit. I guess I was just expecting. I don't know. I just maybe because it was David Fincher, maybe they have a little bit
Mhm.
more of a punch to it. I guess.
Mm.
And seeing it, I was like, okay, it's good, and,
Yeah,
and
it's much smaller scale than you would think for a David Fincher film. Because
yeah,
because even though he really excels at building characters, and just the actual technical craft of filmmaking, that's always something that really stands out in his movies. And with The Killer, uh, I feel like it was leaning a little more into the character side than the other aspects of his style.
Yeah. What else you got?
All right. Next is Brandon Cronenberg's second feature film starring Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth with Infinity Pool. So Infinity Pool is a movie about this struggling writer who goes on vacation in this foreign country, and he gets in trouble with the law. And there they have a program where you can where the punishment for any crime is death, but if you pay them enough money, you can have a clone of yourself made, and you can have them face the death penalty instead. And it deals with all of the kind of philosophical questions of that. Is like, if you can do this, who would be the people that exploit it the most? Questions of identity, sexual repression, creativity, and it has one of my favorite performances this year with Mia Goth as firmly solidifying her in the. She is an absolutely stunning woman that I am terrified of.
Yeah. And that's her real speaking voice that you have in this movie.
Yeah, it's closer to her real speaking voice than I think any other film that she's been in. Because I absolutely loved her in X and Pearl.
Yeah. Her real speaking, her kind of
even when I hear her in interviews, I do not believe that's her real voice. It's like seeing Stephanie Beatriz outside of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, I like that, and I don't think a lot of people probably have seen this movie. So it's nice you throw in a movie that probably I don't think you think a lot of people probably are onto this movie or know about it quite a bit.
I feel like not as many as people should be, and just to bring it back to Saltburn, that's a movie that is tackling very similar themes about excess and wealth, and I feel like this movie handled those things better than in Saltburn.
Yeah, and thank you to Infinity Pool for introducing me to Cleopatra Coleman. Thank you for for doing that. Yeah, gorgeous woman too. All right, what you got next, man?
Okay, next up is my last honorable mention, and that's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. One of James Gunn going on an absolute high note with saying goodbye to characters that he brought into not just into the MCU, but into the cultural zeitgeist. The Guardians of the Galaxy they were Z-list characters when they announced that they were making a film about them, and James Gunn, he brought them into the zeitgeist. In the movie, it is at times very dark, very hard to watch, especially when it comes to when you're getting into Rocket Raccoon's backstory. But it's also still has that trademark James Gunn humor that always catches me off guard whenever it happens, and such great writing and dealing with these characters. And this is the best MCU movie, and one that stands out when they're kind of on this downward slump, basically since Avengers Endgame.
Yeah. This is one of the few good superhero movies this year. It was a rough year for superhero movies. This is one of the few good Disney movies that came out in 2023.
One of the only ones that made a profit.
Yeah, this did really well, and especially in such a crowded year, a crowded time when it came out, because it was up against Fast X and Little Mermaid and Indiana Jones and The Flash and Across the Spider-Verse, and it still was able to get 850 million there, and that's pretty good. And yeah, James Gunn closed it out. This is his last movie for the MCU, and he went out on a high note. I was hoping he would, and he did it. The Guardians movies I think are really great. I like all the Guardians movies a lot. Two I've warmed up to two more times I've seen it. At first I was kind of lukewarm on it, but now I've liked it more a lot, and I think he closed it out really nice. The Rocket Raccoon here, I mean, this being basically his movie, great stuff there. I mean, that was emotional when Lila died. I mean, that was an emotional moment. So yeah, this worked on a lot of levels here. I really liked it quite a bit. So that's your last honorable mention. So we're getting into your top 10 now.
Into the top 10. So number 10 is Sanctuary, a movie that we've covered on the stream before, a movie about heir to a hotel company breaking up with his dominatrix. And something that I really love about this movie is the performances of Christopher Abbott and Margaret Qualley, and just their ever-shifting power dynamic and the questioning of what a relationship like this looks like. And this is, to Epitastic Josh's comment earlier, this is what 50 Shades should have been.
This is a real BDSM dom.
This one actually takes a look at the nature of S&M.
Mm,
and what it means to be a dominant and a submissive, and how even with a dynamic like that, there is still emotion to be had.
yeah.
Like,
Was
it's
this
not as cold and clinical. So this was technically a 2022 film that had its premiere. I think it was it was either Sundance, or it had its premiere at Tribeca, and it got its wide release this year.
yeah. And funny enough, these two show up together again in Poor Things, funny enough.
Yeah, that's another movie that I love that movie. It just barely squeaked out of the top 10.
You bitch. Why did but yeah, and Christopher Abbott, yeah, I seen him pop up with some other kind of places now. So I see he's getting a lot of things. Yeah, I like this movie. I saw it based on your recommendation and liked it quite a bit. So yeah, I very much enjoyed it there. Maybe I should give me a hotel. Do that. Give me a Margaret Qualley. If Tess just said Margaret Qualley in Sanctuary. Damn.
Hmm.
Yeah, Margaret Qualley. Yeah, she's attractive. Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
woman.
attractive and also kind of terrifying.
Yeah, good on her there. She's got, yeah, definitely. You could see McDowell. What's her mother?
Andy McDowell.
Annie. You could definitely see Annie McDowell there. Very much so. All right, man. What's your number 9?
Okay, number 9 is a movie that falls into that I'm in this and I don't like it, with Celine Song's Past Lives, a movie about how relationships form and how people grow apart, and that kind of weird feeling of reconnecting with somebody from your past again, especially somebody who you've had romantic feelings for. And what this movie does so well is that it handles this subject matter that in any other hands, this would just have gone something like straight to Lifetime. It would have been a little bit more black and white, but the movie tackles it with such a depth and maturity, and it makes it feel real.
Yeah. This was number 9 for you. This was my favorite movie of the year. This was number
Ah,
1 for me. Love this movie. Greta Lee. I've been championing her all
mm. Yeah,
2023.
it's one of the best performances of the year, because you have so much that deals into it. You have this kind of like lightness when she's hanging out with Hai Sung, who's played by Teo Yu, versus this kind of, it's still very warm, but there's still something like closed off when she's interacting with her husband.
Yeah. Iptex Justice is top 5 of 2023.
Mhm. And
Uh,
the only reason that this movie isn't higher on my list is because I've only seen it the one time, and that was enough.
yeah. I love it. I think, like you said, best performance I think of the year for me is Greta Lee, just period overall, best actor or actress. I think Greta Lee just does a fantastic job in it. Some great moments in the movie. One of my favorite moments thinking about it was the moment where the dude is trying not to be jealous, the
Mhm.
husband
Yeah,
there.
yeah. It's like he flew 3,000 miles to see you. I'm not gonna tell him you. I'm not gonna say you can't. And even like when Greta Lee and Teo you were talking, he was like, I didn't think it'd hurt this much to like your husband.
Yeah. I remember seeing when he actually shows up to their place and he's like, "Fuck!" You can see the look on his face, like, "Damn, this dude's fucking attractive." Like, fuck. You can see just the look on his face, like, "Holy shit!" Like, oh man, it's like even I would fuck
It's
this
like a.
dude. Like, oh my god, man. Like, god damn, I might as well just get my shit together now. Fuck it, I might as well just have it.
Yeah, and that's where I thought the movie was going, but it chooses to go for something that feels a little more grounded and more real,
Yeah.
because this movie is not trying to be this like epic sweeping romance of this dude coming visiting from her past and sweeping her off her feet. No, this is about people reconnecting in all the forms that takes. Like, even they have the conversation of hey, who knows, maybe your husband was one of your past lives.
Yeah. What's your number 8 movie, man?
Okay, number 8, it is the Evil Dead Rise, a movie that it is the newest entry in a franchise that again has no bad movies. It has this such level of fun and care when it comes to introducing new mythology for the Deadites. And one of my favorite performances of the year, with Alyssa Sutherland as the main Deadite in this movie, and how this movie utilizes its small space, taking it out of the cabin in the woods, bringing it into something a little more claustrophobic, giving us this like very fun family dynamic with Alyssa Sutherland and all the kids, and making me actually dread when they read the Book of the Dead.
Yeah. I very much like this movie. It kind of missed out on my top 20 of the
Mhm.
year. Maybe in the top 25, 30, you probably would have made it. Like you said, the Evil Dead franchise, I don't think it has any bad movie. Even
No, even the remake is a solid movie on its own.
yeah. I do think the reason why I probably didn't crack my top 20 was because of like you got to bring in the chainsaw and you
Hmm.
got to do certain things and kind of tie it
I
back.
mean, I mean,
Um,
it felt more natural here because one of the neighbors he had like a landscaping company, so yeah, it kind of makes sense to that he'd have those tools with him.
yeah. But I still thought this was a great performance by the lead actor. What's her name?
Alyssa Sutherland played the Deadite, and Lily Sullivan plays her estranged sister.
Yeah, great physical work there by
Mhm.
Alyssa Sutherland there, the body work there.
Yeah,
Uh,
and something that stood out is like I think this is one of the first times that we've actually had a prominent Deadite actor. And like she's on the all of the marketing, she's on the poster, she's on the cover of the 4K, and so much of that is like she's injecting actual joy into her performance. Like fucking up her family is the most fun thing she could be doing.
Epitax Justice say every time I want to watch Evil Dead Rise, the damn poster scares me. Yeah, that's a good poster. It's a good
It
poster.
is. It's a terror. It's a scary ass poster. And it was like
Mm.
I saw it. And it was like I'm in.
All right, what's your number 7?
Okay, number 7, a movie I just saw last week, and that's The Iron Claw. This movie is about the rise and fall of the Von Erich brothers, played by Zac Efron, uh, who plays David Von Erich. You have Carrie, played by,
He's Kevin Von
oh,
Erich.
he was Kevin. Excuse me. You have all the Von Erichs played by Zac Efron, Harris Dickinson, Jeremy Allen White, and I can't remember Mikey, the guy who plays Mikey. But this movie is about their rise and fall in the world of professional wrestling, about the kind of very emotionally abusive upbringing that they had, courtesy of their father, who's played by Holt McCallany. Them and experiencing all of the tragedy that happened in their lives, and a comment I got with this movie is that yes, the real story, they omitted one of the other Von Erich brothers. They kind of just mashed him up into Mikey in the film. But a any movie that has based on a true story, they're going to take some liberties with what actually happened. And B, I could when I watched this movie, I could not handle another brother.
Mm.
Because I basically started crying at the beginning of the second act and just did not stop. Because this movie does such a good job at pulling at the heartstrings, and it has one of the most heartbreaking final lines I've seen in a movie this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this quite a bit. I was looking forward to this movie, knowing the true story about the Von
Mhm.
Erich family, seeing the documentary. I keep mentioning Dark Side of the Ring, pretty good documentary series. They have the episode on YouTube now,
Yeah,
so you don't have to
yeah,
subscribe to Hulu to watch it.
yeah. I think they also have an episode of Vice. They did a special on the Von Erichs.
Yeah, yeah, that's where it's from. Yeah, the Vice
Okay.
special there. So yeah, Zac Efron, and also it's a good showcase to say that he can be the next He-Man.
Hey,
Epitax
he's got the body and that that page boy haircut. And yeah, it's like Efron is an actor that I think is not getting enough positive word of mouth, because this is legitimately one of the best performances of this year.
Mm,
Because when you have a character like Kevin Von Erich, and even back in the days of his pro wrestling, there's like this temptation to just kind of portray him as this like muscle bound meathead, and the movie doesn't do that. It's like, yeah, these guys are ridiculously in shape and they love being in the ring, but they're all just very sweet, very down to earth people.
mm, yeah. What you got next? What's your number 6 movie?
Okay, number 6 movie. It's one of the best animated films of this year, and we got to had the very fortunate pleasure of speaking with Jacques Daigle, who worked on the film. It's TMNT Mutant Mayhem. One of the newest interpretations of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first one that actually made us feel like these kids were teenagers, uh, giving us the more coming of age story with them kind of going out into the world, experiencing it for the first time, exploring the actual parent-child relationship between Splinter and all of the kids. Some of the best voice acting of the year, one of the best scores, and this unique animation style that is just so beautiful to watch. It's like crude, very much in the way that a child's drawing would be, and kind of has that kind of claymation look to it.
Mm. Yeah, I very much love the look at it. Very much when we talked to the
Mhm,
animation director, described it as like a kid scribbling on a notebook. You know what I
mhm.
mean? Has that kind of style and look to it, which I very much like. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I
Yeah,
thought to see.
and of course the no diggity scene. It's one of the absolute peaks of cinema this year.
Very great scene there. Pastor Josh said, "Mute Mayhem, I wasn't interested in, but I gave it a shot back in November, and I did enjoy it. But the 1990 TMNT film is still the best. The live action film, yeah, we did a retro review for
Mm.
that as well. But I like the fact that these are actual like teenagers. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, there
they
it's the only one that actually made them feel like teenagers. With so much of them, they just either have grown adults do the voices and they just make them act stupid. But here it felt like kids riffing with each other.
mm, yeah.
And
So
when they recorded the dialogue, they actually had them all in the same booth so they could improv. They could talk over each other the same way that teenagers do.
it worked effectively.
Yeah,
Um,
that worked.
what is your next movie? Your number 5 movie?
Okay, number five movie. It is the second feature film of Emma Seligman, the return of one of 2023's MVPs with Io Debris with Bottoms, a movie about two outcasts starting a fight club to their school to get girls. Which when I look at Havana Rose Lou, I get
Mm, yeah.
it.
And we just mentioned this movie as well, the impact it, kind of has with Mean Girls. You see that influence. You also see other influences of high school movies on here very much. It's a high school movie also that's a commentary on other high school movies. You have like, some even dark kind of funny
it,
stuff. School
it
Shooter.
Yeah, it exists in kind of its own little hyper exaggerated reality where, all the football players only wear their football uniforms.
Yeah, like, and then it feels like something that's also out of time because it's like you don't really see them use any real cell phones really all that much. It's like you see one dude, he's listening, he has like a Discman or a Walkman, the main guy. You have that gonna go on there. I know some people the ending is kind of divisive there. I love the ending. I think it's funny to say I love the ending, but I could get
Say
why it could turn
Yeah,
people off.
I get why it turns people off, and to them I say, yo, you're a bitch. 'Cause
Yeah.
this ending is fucking awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's one of the funniest movies of the year. It's my number one
Yeah,
comedy of
it,
the year.
it it like makes me wonder how much of the jokes were in the script because this is written by Emma Seligman and co-written by Rachel Sennett, who's one of the funniest uh, women in Hollywood today. But there is so
Funnier than
much.
Amy Schumer.
It's not a high bar.
Yeah, Elma. Yeah, she did, and yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
but it's makes me wonder how much of this was improv because this is one of the few comedies that we actually got to see bloopers with alternate takes. And the scene where Marshawn Lynch is kind of dressing them down, talking shit about them starting the fight club, it's one of the funniest things I've seen this year.
yeah. Bring back bloopers. I miss some good bloopers. At the end of the
it's
movie, yeah.
like it's like you I can't believe y'all started a fight club to get some coochie. Y'all don't even know how to work that thing. Like I know y'all ain't tickling the pearl. Know what I'm talking about.
And there's a whole just you can look on the actual MGM YouTube channel. It's just Bottoms Mr. G outtakes, and it's just Marshawn Lynch for a minute straight, just giving outtakes there.
It was like, y'all, is this because I said Ed Amelia Earhart was a fake hero?
if that's just, I wanted to see Bombs, also the movie that got Josh hooked on Rachel Sennett. Yeah, I think the first thing that
Mm.
got me hooked on her was Bodies, Bodies, Bodies,
Oh yeah,
which
it's
is
like
awesome.
that. That's another movie where we are sleeping on Rachel Sennett for best supporting actress.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be talking about her pretty soon because she's in something that's on my worst of, but she was
Ooh,
the best thing in it,
hmm.
even though it was on my worst of.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and same.
All right, your number 4 movie.
Okay, number four movie. It's a movie that is the best animated film this year, and that is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I came into this movie with about the highest expectations that one could possibly have. I'm talking opening night of seeing Avengers in theaters opening day. And this movie not only lived up to my expectations as far as like growing the story of Miles Morales, giving us brand new styles of animation, all of them coexisting on screen together, but giving me this like epic story and making me just at times like shout, cheer, and cry at points in this film. And and something that is like this takes everything that worked about the original Into the Spider-Verse from 2018 and it just improves on it. It like has a much better story for Miles's parents, exploring that dynamic and exploring what it actually means to be Spider-Man, and just a lot of commentary on the nature of comic books in general.
Yeah. This alone, Guardians of Galaxy Volume 3 and TMNT were one of the few good, great comic book movies to come out this year. Like I said, amongst the terrible sea that we got. Love it a lot. To think that how is like after Into the Spider-Verse was considered for some people their favorite Spider-Man movie now. A lot of people love Into the Spider-Verse. It's like, how are you gonna match that, top it? And this kind of does a great job at that. I can't wait to see. I'm praying, Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Y'all got to stick that landing, because if not, I'm coming to Phil Lord and Chris Miller's house and I'm burning it down.
I gotta do it. Ektash Joshua, Cross is my favorite of the year. I was satisfied 2 hours and 20 minutes. Didn't feel like it. Loved Miles and Gwen. Yeah, Miles is swimming in the skin milk. I don't care how long it takes. I'm still excited for Beyond and the Spider-Gwen film. Are they doing a Spider-Gwen film?
I think they announced that they were trying to get a spin-off for Haley Steinfeld's Gwen Stacy.
Okay,
I think they announced it a while ago. I don't know if that's happening. I mean, that's part of the reason that it's Cindy Moon at the end of the Insomniac Spider-Man 2 instead of Gwen.
Oh, okay. So they're doing like in the Insomniac doing what's it, Silk Spider?
Yeah, Silk.
Okay. All right. Interesting. So, what is your number 3 film?
Okay, number 3, it is a return to form for one of my favorite directors of all time, and that's Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is about J. Robert Oppenheimer, about the man who led the Manhattan Project, built the atomic bomb, him along with a team of several other scientists, and getting into his backstory, getting into, what happens after the success of the bomb, and him living with the horror that he has created and brought into the world. And it gives me some of the best performances of the year with Cillian Murphy as J. Robert Oppenheimer. You have Florence Pugh in here as well. You're getting career best performances out of actors who are on screen for 5 minutes or less. Like Matt Damon is phenomenal in this. You get Rami Malek, who shows why he is an Academy Award winner. As far as like everything in technical, everything is perfect. It's like, Epictastic Josh is talking about the sound mixing and how it was iffy at times. This was the return to form for me, because I hated Tenet. Not just because I feel like that movie was too long, that is overstuffed, that is very self-indulgent, but even just down to the sound editing and mixing. It's like you can't hear dialogue while characters are talking to each other. And that was always something that I felt like Christopher Nolan excelled at, that he just kind of felt lazy with Tenet. And it's a return to form here.
Yeah. Do you think this is Christopher Nolan's best movie? I think, I don't know. For me, it might be his best movie, I think.
It might be. It might be. I don't know if I connected to this emotionally as I did with the film like The Prestige or with Inception. I'd have to watch it again. But yeah, that's like 3 hours. I got to devote some time to it.
Yeah, I believe on my list, Oppenheimer was number 4 on my list. Yeah, I loved it a lot. I thought it was really amazing. Still amazing. I mean, this movie made $950 million, highest grossing biopic ever made, beat Bohemian Rhapsody. Who would have thought? This 3-hour movie, about J. Robert Oppenheimer, the guy who made
this 3-hour movie about the guy who built the atomic bomb.
Yeah. Ectastic Justice said, I still think Dark Knight is best. Dark Knight is one of also a really amazing movie also as well.
Personally, I put Batman Begins over The Dark Knight, but that's just me.
Wow, you would be wrong. All right, your number 2 film.
Okay, number 2, it's a directorial debut from the YouTube channel Raka Raka, Danny and Michael Philippou. It's my favorite horror movie this year with Talk to Me. Talk to me about this group of teenagers that find this ceramic hand that they use to contact the dead. And in fact, I love the movie so much.
He's getting the prop.
Got me a replica of the hand.
Wow, shit. Damn, how much was that?
That doesn't matter.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, it's such a cool concept, and it's a movie that is going into very similar roads that we've seen with other movies this year. Stuff doing a demon possession again. But this movie finds a new angle with it and finding that, using it as an allegory for drug abuse and addiction and peer pressure, and has some of my favorite sound mixing. It has some of my favorite performances with especially Sophie Wilde, who has so many turns as a character of Jade. And it's one of the creepiest films. It was like very few films, especially horror, leave me kind of just paralyzed at my seat after the credits start rolling, because this has one of my favorite kind of horrific endings of a film I've seen this year.
Yeah, and this was her first film, the Sophie Wilde.
Yeah, feature debut for a lot of people. The biggest name in this cast is Miranda Otto from Lord of the Rings and Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Yeah, so good on her. She did an amazing job.
And this is a huge coming out party for Danny and Michael Philippou, who their next film is going to be the Street Fighter movie.
Yeah,
and especially if you watch their YouTube channel, they excel with doing like action and stunts, which I'm looking forward to that. And I'm not even a big Street Fighter guy.
Yeah, it's the indie movie director to big studio project pipeline. This is what you do there. And Talk to Me is also my favorite. It was also on my best of. I thought it was the favorite, probably the best horror movie of the year. My favorite horror movie of the year. And yeah, I mean, in 2023, we had a lot of possession movies: Pope's Exorcist, Exorcist Believer, The Nun 2, When Evil Lurks, When Evil Lurks was really great. But that didn't make my list. But Evil Dead Rise, a lot of Exorcist movies, it feels like. And then this one really stood above. Like, we still can do something fresh with the genre of possession.
And something that stood out to me is like how little all of our characters are in the know with how this hand actually works. Everything is just rumors and hearsay that they've heard from other people that felt very authentically teenager.
Yeah. So here we are, your number one movie of the year.
Here we are, a movie that I was very much just kind of sleeping on, and that is Godzilla -1. It's like this movie that is a kind of a return to form for for the kaiju film. And it's like I really liked the legendary Godzilla films that we've seen. It's like Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Godzilla versus Kong. I really ended up enjoying. But my criticism of those movies is that movie is just pure spectacle. Let's get these two monsters fighting each other. Fuck all these human characters. Why are we even paying attention to them? There's like nothing written for them. They're so just bland types. And this movie is the opposite. This movie spends so much time building character. It's making us care about them. You have the character of I'm struggling to remember names, and just dealing with the PTSD from the war and his own fight with Godzilla, finding this newfound family and these friendship with this crew on this minesweeping vessel that he has. It's such a very human story. And then you remember that Godzilla is around the corner and all of the horror that he can wreak.
Yeah. This movie came out just last month. And everybody was like, "Holy shit! I got to put this on my best of." Yeah, fuck was everyone else was on my best of.
Yeah,
I have to add this on.
Godzilla, very much like he does to the city of Tokyo in this movie. He said, "Oh, he fucked up my goddamn top 10 list because I had to rewrite the whole thing."
Yeah. So is that why it's kind of above all your other movies, number one?
Not just it. I feel like this movie it is number one because one, it's a special thing when blockbuster filmmaking is done this well and characters matter this much in a movie like this. And it's I put a lot of weight into movies that make me cry, and this movie it did. It had one of the, I think, most bittersweet endings in this whole arc and journey that our lead character goes through in this. It's fantastic writing. And him dealing with the survivor's guilt of his own cowardice in his initial run-in with Godzilla, and how much this movie is very anti-war, and how it is going into like discussions about civic duty and national pride.
Yeah, and very much it feels like a connection to the 1954, the very first original Godzilla. Haven't seen that recently. Reviewed it up on the channel now, youtube.com, the afternoon tune, type that in. And you'll see a review there. So yeah, have you seen many Godzilla films? Would you say this is the best Godzilla film?
Out of the ones I've seen, I hadn't seen a lot of them. I watched Godzilla versus Mothra when I was a kid, and I've seen the legendary films starting with the 2014 Godzilla, but this is the best one that I have seen.
Mm. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, Godzilla minus one is your favorite movie of 2023. Very nice. This was on my list as well. I believe. Where did I put this? On my movies. It was number
I,
10 for me. Yeah. So number 10 for me. So yeah. But I had a much bigger list. I had honorable
Mhm.
mentions plus my top 15 there. So I had a much bigger list there.
Yeah, I think I had like 20 films on my list originally, and I had to narrow it down to like uh like 15 at the most.
mm,
Because otherwise we'd be here all night.
yeah. So yeah, thank you, Nick. Thank you for your best of
Thank you.
2023 movies there.